patients killed, 1 to 10. That's the number. Like, there's samples of their bodies apparently, and in those samples there's a percent amount of a substance. So you're identifying the victims of the 10 people who were exploded, and it was relevant. That's why, right? Drugs in them, that's called a substance. Traits, you can match personality traits to drug, and you can match drug to substance, and you can match percent to substance, because a periodic table has the weight of all of those things. So just based off of the samples that say percent, you can find with the empirical formula, like converting it from moles and then putting it all, basically the empirical formula is telling you how much of something there is. So if you have like a shirt and it's made out of like cotton and polyester, it's kind of like that, but not really at all. It would be good if I had printed it out, but I didn't. Yeah, because it says you must show all supporting calculations as a part of your submissions to the course. But like, as I do that, like that's gonna take. So this is gonna be the number of the person number, because they're numbered per people. So it's gonna go right here in this circle, and obviously we'll start with 1, but I'll change that because it's a whiteboard. Okay, carbon is has a weight of 12 grams per mole, and that per mole part is really important, because as long as you know that, which you can get the periodic table like any. Probably would have worked better if I did it like that, wouldn't it? It's percent. I'm not gonna write percent after it because it's gonna get really confusing. Percent, 67.29%, which I'll do on my calculator. 0.29%, and then you have to go divided by 12 grams per mole, and that gives you 5.61 moles of carbon. And I will do that for each one. Pretty easy to remember that if you have moles on the bottom and you go up in both ways, and you have grams sitting up here and grams sitting up here, then to go from grams, if you had the grams of a substance, you would just divide it by the molar mass by like 12 or something to get to moles. And so if you have the grams of substance, divide by the molar mass to get to moles. If you have the moles of a substance, then you times by the molar mass to get to grams. Moles of a substance times by the molar mass to get to grams. So it's just like a little curvy thing. And that probably just sounds retarded, but whatever. Out of 100%. It's all out of 100%, because those are the moles. Okay, these numbers are going to be into circles, and it goes from left to right. So those are the moles of carbon, those are the moles of hydrogen, those are the moles of nitrogen. You divide every single one by the smallest percent of moles. So like, because you have to have one that's a 1-to-1 ratio to have a starting point, right? You have the 1-to-1, and then boom, you have all the other. So for example, I'll go off of carbon and go to hydrogen. If we take 6.93 and divide it by 0.33, which is the smallest amount of moles that we have, which was nitrogen, and whoops, I pressed the wrong button. Thing. Okay, then you get 21. I think it's just more like relative to everything else, because this is obviously going to be 1, so it'd be 21 to 1 to 1 to 4, and based on the table that I was given about the drugs, it says C17. H21. What I'm trying to say, basically sometimes there's decimal points, and if there's decimal points that aren't really close to the right thing, then relationship of the numbers where they're all whole numbers, because you want them to all be whole numbers, and you want the relationship of them to be whole numbers. You don't want a bunch of shitty decimal points screwing your answer up. Oh yeah, that's with Dallas, because it said TMZ, and as soon as you saw TMZ, you knew cocaine, and that's what it said. So